Charlie Kirk fan, may I ask the panel, do you think the long-term benefits of commitment and monogamy outweigh the short-term dopamine hits that come with less committed, less loyal, damaging relationships / hookups? We can go around the panel really quick on that. Starting with you, go ahead.
Could you explain a little bit more? Give me a little bit more.
So can I tell them about dopamine?
Sure.
It's super good. So dopamine is called a neurotransmitter. It goes super fast, like 1,000,000 miles an hour. Not that fast, but like almost. Yeah, there you go. It is the reward molecule. So dopamine comes out when you have certain things. A rewarding. It's forward looking, right? So you actually don't get a dopamine release when you hit the climax. That's serotonin or oxytocin. It is in anticipation. So you're hungry, you're going for a good meal, or you're going to the next porn video, or whatever it might be. So the dopamine hits are addictive. So whatever gives you dopamine, you want more of. And your brain is really dopamine dumb, so it doesn't know when it's had too much. But we've learned in the dopamine science. I'm sorry to monopolize on this, but
go ahead.
There's a great book by a woman by the name of Dr. Anna Lemke, who did the best book on dopamine. It's called Dopamine Nation. Is that for every interval you go up of dopamine, you must go down. That's why when people go really deep into dopamine, they end up getting into depression in the days or the weeks that follow. So you go to a rock concert, you're so overwhelmed, you might do some drugs, cocaine spikes dopamine, alcohol spikes dopamine, sex spikes dopamine. Your brain then has to interval back. So the next 4 days, you're like, I feel so low. There's nothing wrong with you. And so that's one of my arguments against pornography, is that without you know it, you're actually lowering your dopamine interval. So I hope that's helpful.
Thank you. It is. Can you repeat the question one more time with the actual question?
Yeah, it's about do you think the dopamine hits are worth it?
The long-term benefits of commitment and monogamy, do they outweigh the short-term dopamine hits that come with less committed, less loyal, damaging relationships / hookups? For example, it might be very exciting if you're, jumping from one casual hookup to the next, but does that excitement outweigh the long-term benefits of commitment, long-term relationships, monogamy, etc.?
For me, I value, I want a long-term commitment. I want a loyal relationship, and I don't really do the hookup culture. I only have sex with whoever I'm with, whoever I'm dating. I feel like everybody's entitled to their own opinion as well too, but for me personally, I feel like it's not worth it, and I rather how do I put this into words? I'm sorry, I'm struggling with my thoughts a little bit, but that's my opinion on it.
Me personally, I enjoy that stability, but those are my personal preferences that I'm not really interested in imposing upon other people. So I think it really comes down to if hookups are the thing that make you happy or whatever, I don't see anything wrong with going that way.
I think I'm confused with the question.
Okay.
That was me too.
Pixie, what
I
about
was
you?
a little confused.
Yeah, I'm not into hookup culture, so.
Okay.
I also am not into hookup culture, but I personally think that, to each their own, if that's, again, what makes you happy. But I think kind of being single for a year and going on dates, I wasn't in hookup culture necessarily, but I was going on dates with multiple people. It can be a little depressing, for sure.
When you say you were going on dates with multiple people, what was in an average week, what was how many dates were you going on?
I wasn't too date. It was I was on Hinge, I was on Tinder. I would maybe have a date with 1 or 2 people a week. Sometimes for a few weeks I wouldn't have any dates. But yeah, it would be kind of depressing. You could go on a date with someone multiple times and then it doesn't work out, and then but I do think I do want something long term, because I don't think personally that is good for me because of the person that I am. So
sure.
Yeah.
What about you, Tina?
Long-term commitment kind of feels like prison to me.
Right.
So I'm just chilling, doing what I want to do. I'm not a big fan of hookup culture, but obviously I do it for filming, so that kind of gives me what I need. But then I'm chilling.
Nick Schmexi donated $200.
Oh.
Hey Brian and Charlie,
Thanks, Nick.
will you guys post the stream after? I haven't been paying attention because I'm whacking off to Angel and Sophia.
Welcome to the Whatever podcast, where we should probably moderate these. Appreciate it, Nick.
I do have you all deserve better men than what America's producing. You really do. I mean that.
Subscribe.
You deserve better men than what this culture is producing.
Okay. Well, Tina, coming back to you really quick. I mean, in some of your pre-show notes here that you provided, you said, for example, that you guess you always end up sleeping through friend groups. Hot take could be that you're all for open, non-traditional relationships. You said at one time you left a guy asleep in your hotel room to go hook up with 3 other guys.
Girl boss.
It's true.
There's more there. I can
Slay
read
the
more. You also said commitment to one person is difficult for you.
Yeah.
I suppose it's good that you're at least self-aware. Do you care to elaborate a bit on that?
On which part? I don't know. There was a lot out there. The story though, yeah, I did once leave a guy in my hotel room. He fell asleep. He just kept dragging on about how I do OnlyFans, and you can tell that he was getting turned on by it. And my biggest ick is when guys are like so interested in what I do for work, because that's my work. So when I'm talking to you about it, I'm just talking to you like it's my work. So if you're like talking to me and you're kind of getting excited, you're thinking you're on a hookup or something, I'm just like, I'm so turned off. So luckily he fell asleep in my room.
Luckily.
I went for a shower because I was like, if anything's gonna happen, I may as well shower, be fresh anyways. I wasn't really into him, but I was like, sometimes you just have to put up with some things. But when I was in the shower, he fell asleep, and also while I was in the shower, I got a text from another guy that was in the hotel. There was an event going on, and he was like, come say goodbye to me. And I was like, okay. And I went up and we did our thing, and then while we were doing our thing, his coach and his manager were like knocking on his door to try get him to get on his flight because he had an early flight, and then they just joined in. And I like got a text then from the guy that was asleep in my room, and he was just like, did you leave? And I was like, yeah, I had to go say bye to a friend. And then I never heard from him again, but that was good though because he was a weirdo.
Haram!
Okay, so that's pretty interesting. We'll come back to that later. Molly, did you have a response to the chat that came in?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So, for me, I think that relationship stability and those little dopamine hookup hits come together. I kind of utilize both. So for me, like, I have sex for work with people that aren't my boyfriend. So, like, yes, it is very chemically draining after you have an orgasm, and like, obviously you're tired, you're depleted of all of those crazy dopamine whatevers, and you get a little sad. So after my scenes, when I'm driving home, the only thing that's like, oh, like I'm not gonna be alone, like I'm gonna have my boyfriend, like we're gonna hang out and he's gonna love me, and like he's gonna be so proud of me because I did work today. And yeah, like it all just kind of ties in. Like if I didn't have those little dopamine hits, I would feel like I was in prison, and I'm sure he would feel the same way. So it all works out.
Oh, we have another one coming.
Modest Hikima donated $200. Charlie stole my usual question of what? Even wearing my Matt Walsh flannel NWTF. So, spawn of Satan, how much more traffic do you expect to Europe from nips rather than wearing clothes?
All right, they're spicy tonight, eh? Modest Akama, thank you, appreciate it.
About 3% more traffic.
About 3.5% more traffic is what Molly's expecting. Charlie, it sounded like you were about to come in on something. Do you have something quick on that?
No, just look, dopamine is a very serious chemical. If you mismanage it, it leads a lot of people to self-harm and to depression. And so, but there are ways to healthily manage dopamine, and it is ways such as fulfilling work, purpose, relationships, a spiritual life, eating healthy, intermittent fasting, cold water exposure. So just be very careful for whatever it's worth. Not that you're going to listen to what I say, because if you start to overindulge in cheap dopamine hits, then you're going to need a bigger and bigger dopamine hit, and then eventually you get to a place where you can't hit that high again, and then you crater and you crash. And my prayer for all of you is that you don't have to live through that, because it's pretty dark.